Welcome to Viso W, your shortcut to being well-informed.
Hello.
Today we're embarking on a deep dive into, well, one of music history's most extraordinary forces, often confusing maybe, but undeniably foundational.
You mean George Clinton's seminal funk collective?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Our exploration is titled Unpacking the Funk, the Dual Identities and Lasting Legacy of Parliament-Funkadelic.
Mm-hmm.
And our mission really is to clarify the intricate origins and the fascinating evolution of this iconic group.
Yeah, because it can be confusing.
Definitely. We'll be delving into the contractual stuff that actually shaped their distinct identities, Parliament-Funkadelic, which were intertwined yet separate.
And we'll also look at the huge impact on music history. You can't talk about hip-hop without them.
Right, their undisputed role as the DNA of hip-hop. That's a key part of this.
Absolutely. And for this deep dive, we've really gone into some rich sources.
Tell us about those.
Well, there's the official George Clinton Parliament-Funkadelic biography,
Mhm.
which is, essential. Then some really insightful discussions from the Arlitsock Music Reddit community. People have strong feelings there.
I bet.
We've also got excerpts from the PopCon 2024 keynote conversation that was with George Clinton himself and Daniel Smith. Really fascinating
Oh,
stuff.
excellent.
And of course, detailed analyses of specific albums and concepts. We have to talk about Maggot Brain, Mothership Connection,
Iconic.
and Clinton's really unique views on sampling. We're aiming to present these sources in depth, let the information really breathe.
Great. So as your guide today, my goal is to give you a truly comprehensive understanding of how George Clinton didn't just play soul music. He, twisted it, reshaped it into funk.
Mm-hmm.
We'll explore how he pulled in all these diverse influences and built this sprawling musical empire that honestly still resonates so powerfully today. Think of this as a formal but hopefully engaging exploration of the source material.
And I'll be providing context, trying to synthesize all this incredible information. We want you to understand not just what happened in the P-Funk universe, but why it happened.
And why it still matters.
Exactly. Why it still matters. Hopefully, we can foster a deeper appreciation for this really unique musical phenomena. Get ready for some aha moments, hopefully, as we connect the dots. Contracts, creativity, cultural revolution. It's all in there.
Okay, let's do it. Let's unpack this story, starting right at the beginning. The genesis of P-Funk.
Back to the roots.
Back to the roots. George Clinton's early life. He was born in Kannapolis, North Carolina, July 22nd, 1941.
Mm.
His early years shaped by that post-war migration. The family moved to New Jersey in the early 50s, and that's where his interest in doo-wop really started to bloom.
Right.
And there's that quirky detail you see. It mentions sometimes the rumor he was born in an outhouse.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I've seen that. What's the story there?
Well, he apparently attributes it to his mother just thinking she needed the bathroom, whether it's literal truth or just, a colorful story.
It definitely fits the persona, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Sets the stage for his unconventional approach.
Key.
And that nonconformist spirit, you see it early on. Before Jersey, he had this memory he talks about, it being 5 years old in D.C.,
Oh, yeah.
seeing planes overhead right after the bomb dropped in Japan, blackout drills. Imagine that for a kid.
Wow.
Intense.
Maybe that sense of a world in flux, constantly changing, influenced him later. That adaptability.
That's an interesting thought. So after D.C., they went to Virginia, then finally Plainfield, New Jersey.
Which he calls the place where his life started. Musically, at least.
And that life kicked off in that vibrant mid-50s music scene. His first group, the Parliaments.
Modeled on Frankie Lyman and the Teenagers. Huge at the time.
Exactly. And Clinton observed, the sources mention this, that back then everybody thought they could sing.
Haha. Yeah, the birth of rock and roll, the delinquent era.
Yeah.
A lot of confidence, maybe not always matched by talent.
Well, and Clinton himself was pretty self-aware about that. He admitted, knew I couldn't sing, not in that polished way.
But he knew how to act. He understood performance, presence, and crucially, he understood manipulating voices, record production, even back then.
He saw it as crafting a record, a sound, not just singing a song. That's key.
Absolutely.
And it's fascinating how his environment nurtured that. The Parliaments formed in '55, right?
Yeah.
And they rehearsed mostly in the back room of a Plainfield barbershop, where Clinton himself straightened hair.
Right, the Silk Palace. Not just straightening hair, though. That place was more.
Oh, way more. It was a cultural hub, a creative nexus. The sources say stars came there. Sam Cooke, Jackie Wilson.
The spaniels, the flamingos, moon glows. legends.
Exactly. So Clinton had this incredible direct access. He's seeing established stars, industry people, making connections right there in the barbershop.
It's like an informal music business school.
Totally. Absorbing everything, learning the craft, the business, hands-on.
So given that access, those connections, why the struggle? The sources say the Parliament's only released 2 singles in the next 10 years.
Yeah, that decade-long grind.
What was holding them back?
Well, I think it speaks volumes about how tough the industry was, especially for independent artists. Lots of competition, shifting tastes.
Even with connections, it wasn't easy.
Not at all. It really highlights Clinton's persistence. He kept making those trips to Detroit, right, for songwriting, production work.
Throughout the mid-60s, yeah, laying groundwork.
And that consistent effort, often behind the scenes, finally paid off in '67 with I Want to Testify on Reveille Records.
The breakthrough.
Finally. But that whole early period, the barbershop, the struggles, the persistence, it shows how innovation can just emerge from unexpected places if you stick with it.
It really does. And after that initial hit, Motown becomes a big influence.
Right, but maybe not in the way you'd immediately assume. He admired their assembly line approach.
He appreciated all music styles, wasn't married to any style, as the sources say.
Exactly. So he learned from Motown's discipline, their production, their songwriting craft. He really admired Smokey Robinson.
It wasn't about copying their sound, though, more about understanding the system.
Understanding the mechanics of making hits, producing on a larger scale, seeing the structure, the quality control.
But how did that square with where he was headed? Towards something much wilder, more experimental.
Well, maybe it gave him a foundation to push against or build from. Because right around then, the late '60s, everything changed.
You mean the rock explosion?
Yeah. The Beatles, Stones, Zeppelin, Cream, and especially Jimi Hendrix. It was a massive shift.
The seismic shift in the musical landscape.
And Clinton, being pragmatic, knew black music artists needed to make a sharp left turn, as the sources put it.
Not just to stay relevant, but to stay creatively vital.
Right. It wasn't a gentle evolution. It felt like a necessary, almost sudden reinvention was required to keep up.
And that reinvention wasn't just sonic, was it? Thinking about the visual.
Oh, absolutely. That famous anecdote about the costumes.
The Holiday Inn sheets.
Yeah. Cutting a hole in the middle to make robes.
We called it practicing being poor.
But it was also just raw creativity, right? DIY innovation. Such a contrast to the Motown suits.
Totally embodying that independent, make-it-work spirit that defined P-Funk. Resourcefulness personified.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's tackle the big one. The question everyone asks, Parliament versus Funkadelic. Why 2 bands?
Yes, the P-Funk duality.
The sources make it really clear this wasn't initially some grand artistic plan. It was born from
The contracts, legal disputes, the messy business side of music.
Right. So let's break down that contractual conundrum.
Okay, so the Parliaments have their hit, I Want to Testify, with Reveille Records. But then Reveille starts having problems, financial trouble, basically.
And Clinton, shrewdly, refused to record anything new for them under that name.
Right. He saw it was a sinking ship.
Yeah.
So instead of getting tied up, he makes this move.
Records the same band, same musicians.
Under a completely new name.
Enter Funkadelic, 1968.
Yep. Initially, it was just a smokescreen, as Clinton called it.
Officially just the backing band.
Officially. But really, it was Clinton and the whole Parliament's lineup. Legal workaround.
Smart. So when Reveille folded and sold their contracts to Atlantic...
Clinton could just abandon the Parliament's name temporarily. Avoid getting locked into that old deal with Atlantic.
Which freed him up to focus on Funkadelic.
Exactly. But the story gets even more tangled.
Doesn't it always?
By 1970, Clinton manages to regain the rights to the Parliament's name.
Okay.
So what does he do? He signs the entire Funkadelic lineup to Invictus Records as Parliament.
Keeping us on our toes.
Their first album as Parliament, Osmium, 1970, actually sounds a lot like Funkadelic, shows that shared DNA.
Right, the lines were already blurring musically.
But then, even after Osmium, he again shelves the Parliament name for a bit to focus solely on Funkadelic, which was really taking off.
Until Parliament gets re-signed to Casablanca Records in '74.
And that's when Parliament really explodes commercially. But this whole twisted origin, it just perfectly highlights how the business side directly shapes the art.
It's almost like the legal constraints forced him to be more creative, to develop these 2 distinct lanes.
That's a great way to put it. Limitations sparking creativity. He might never have developed such versatility otherwise.
So once both bands were properly established, how distinct were they sonically?
Initially, quite distinct. Funkadelic, especially in that early '70s run, '70 to '73.
Yeah.
That was really band format psychedelic rock,
Yeah.
very guitar-based raw funk, heavy psych influences. You hear Hendrix all over it.
Darker, more experimental, albums like Free Your Mind and Your Ass Will Follow, Maggot Brain.
Exactly. That was the wild side.
And Parliament.
Parliament was more the funk free-for-all, blending James Brown, Sly Stone influences, tight grooves, horns.
With those wild costumes, the sci-fi themes, the acid culture references.
Yeah. Generally positioned as maybe more mainstream funk, if P-Funk can ever be called mainstream. More R&B elements, definitely more horns.
So 2 different avenues for his creativity.
Right. Different sonic landscapes,
Yeah.
appealing to maybe slightly different audiences under different names, maximizing output.
But the key thing, and this is crucial for understanding P-Funk, is the people. The musicians often played in both, right?
Absolutely crucial. Clinton built this huge collective, over 50 musicians eventually, a fluid, expanding membership,
So you had geniuses like Bernie Worrell on keyboards,
whose arrangements were just foundational.
Bootsy Collins on bass,
Unmistakable. That rubbery funk.
the horny horns, Fred Wesley, Maceo Parker.
Legends. And they were all playing on both Parliament and Funkadelic records. It was one big talent pool.
Which naturally meant the lines started to blur over time.
Exactly. By 74, when Parliament came back strong on Casablanca, the stylistic differences weren't quite as sharp.
The sources mention increasing consistency by 78, 79.
Yeah, the overall P-Funk sound, that collective identity, really solidified. And eventually, they just toured as one entity, Parliament-Funkadelic.
Playing everything together in those epic shows.
Which makes sense given the shared personnel.
Now, here's a point that comes up in some sources, and it's interesting. The idea that maybe Parliament was marketed more towards white audiences, Funkadelic more towards black audiences.
Yeah, that's a debated point. It definitely raises questions about the industry at the time, though.
Absolutely. Racial dynamics, market segmentation. How much did those external pressures influence even someone as visionary as Clinton?
It's hard to say for sure, but it definitely underscores the complex environment they were navigating. A reminder of the commercial realities artists faced, even pioneers.
Okay, let's shift from the business side to the pure artistic innovation. We have to talk about Maggot Brain.
Oh, absolutely. Funkadelic, 1971. That title track, it's legendary.
13 minutes of pure guitar emotion from Eddie Hazel, who was only 17.
Incredible, isn't it? And the story behind it is just as iconic.
Go on.
Well, Clinton, reportedly tripping on acid at the time.
As was common in those sessions, the sources note.
Right. He gives Hazel this direction. Play like your mother just died. All that grief. Then, halfway through, play like you just found out she survived. The relief, the joy.
That's intense direction.
It resulted in what people call an unprecedented moment of emotion in pop music. Just raw feeling pouring out of the guitar.
And Clinton made that bold production choice.
To strip away the other instruments, right? Drums, bass. Just let Hazel's guitar cry, as he put it.
He knew Hazel was sensitive, so blues, as Clinton said in that PopCon talk, full of feeling.
And let that feeling just dominate the track.
It wasn't just raw emotion, though. It was also a tribute, wasn't it?
Yes, Clinton intended it as a tribute to Jimi Hendrix, who died a couple of years before, filling that psychedelic void in a way.
And despite being so experimental, it became maybe the signature Funkadelic track.
Absolutely. The song most associated with them. Poignantly, they played it at Hazel's funeral in '92.
Clinton remembered him at PopCon, the kid playing it start to finish, nonstop, blowing everyone away, gave him $50.
And Hazel was just gone so fast in the wind. A fleeting moment of genius captured forever. Makes you think about the cost of that kind of artistic expression.
It really does. Now, shifting gears slightly, but staying with innovation, Clinton was basically pioneering sampling before samplers existed.
Yes. This is such a key point. The Zap track, More Bounce to the Ounce, with Roger Troutman.
Clinton cites that himself as early sampling.
And the way he did it was pure analog ingenuity.
Explain that. It's wild.
He literally took a piece of tape, like physically cut it, with a 5-second bass line from another track called Funky Bounce.
Okay.
Then he looped this physical tape on a 2-track recorder, used a pencil, apparently, to guide it around the tape head.
Like manually looping it for 10 minutes?
Yep. Creating that hypnotic, repetitive groove that's the backbone of the song. Roger Troutman added his talkbox magic later.
That's incredible. A physical hack creating a futuristic sound.
Totally. And that groove became a massive hit.
Yeah.
But the technique that foreshadowed so much of hip-hop production.
Clinton even said Troutman wasn't there when he made the loop. It was his own realization that this wasn't just a workaround, it was real innovation.
Finding a new way to build a groove, it changed everything.
So beyond individual tracks, Parliament, especially in the mid-70s, really leaned into concept albums and spectacle.
Oh, big time. They went full sci-fi, Afrofuturism.
Explain Afrofuturism a bit for listeners who might not know.
Sure, it's basically exploring Black identity, culture, liberation, but through a futuristic lens, using sci-fi, fantasy, technology to reimagine the future, critique the present.
And Parliament albums became these sprawling narratives.
Exactly. Intricate political, sociological themes woven into this ongoing storyline with recurring characters. Starchild, Dr. Funkenstein, Sir Nose Devoid of Funk.
The whole P-Funk mythology, part entertainment, part social commentary.
Absolutely. Deep stuff wrapped in funk and glitter.
And the live shows mirrored that conceptual depth. They were pure spectacle.
Inspired by bands like Pink Floyd, Clinton wanted huge, extravagant shows, something beyond the usual.
Which led to the Mothership.
The iconic Mothership, first seen on the Mothership Connection album cover in '75.
Which came from that old sci-fi movie, The Day the Earth Stood Still, right?
That's the one. And it became the centerpiece of the P-Funk Earth Tour in '76, descending onto the stage. Incredible.
And now it's in the Smithsonian, a piece of cultural history.
It really is. That level of visual ambition, it revolutionized Black concert production.
Took it from the Chitlin circuit, as the sources say.
To the massive stadiums usually reserved for white rock acts. A huge statement.
And Mothership Connection, the album, was a massive breakthrough, too.
Huge. An artistic triumph and a commercial hit. Parliament had fully arrived as this major cultural force.
And the theme, Black culture taking it into space.
Symbolizing liberation, the boundlessness of art, transcending limitations, visionary stuff.
Okay, from that groundbreaking era, let's talk legacy, particularly in hip-hop. Clinton's view on sampling is fascinating.
It really is. Very positive and pragmatic, as the sources describe it. He didn't see it as theft at all.
When asked, he literally said, "Oh, hell no."
Right. He saw it as keeping the music alive, keeping it relevant for new generations, an organic evolution.
What was his reasoning there? Why embrace it so openly?
Well, he understood. It gave older music a new lease on life. He worried his stuff would end up in oldies packages otherwise.
Where artists get forgotten, basically. No connection, no control.
Exactly. Sampling was a way to get back in with the new generation, keep the sound circulating, evolving. It was about artistic continuity, cultural relevance.
And he even helped facilitate it, didn't he?
Yeah, he actively made it easier, putting out records like Sample Some of This, Sample Some of Dat.
Designed for producers to use.
And even engineering tracks specifically, like removing the bass or horns in sections to make cleaner loops. That's incredibly forward-thinking, almost collaborative.
He mentioned Sequence, Angie Stone's group, as an early example sampling him.
Right, on the B-side of Sugar Hill Gang's first record. And he noted groups like De La Soul, Digital Underground were among the first to actually approach P-Funk and pay for the samples.
Setting an important precedent.
Definitely. Which leads us to P-Funk as the absolute DNA of hip-hop.
It's not an exaggeration, is it?
Not at all. Those infectious grooves, the beats, they are foundational. Clinton is one of the most sampled artists ever, period. His sonic footprint is everywhere in hip-hop.
You just tick off the names Tupac, Outkast,
Busta Rhymes, Missy Elliott, De La Soul, Snoop Doggy Dogg.
Dr. Dre. The Chronic is practically built on Mothership Connection.
Exactly. Dre bridged that West Coast G-Funk sound directly back to 70s P-Funk, cemented its timelessness.
And the influence keeps going, right? It's not just old school hip-hop.
No way. Look at his collaboration with Kendrick Lamar on To Pimp a Butterfly. That was huge.
Clint said his grandkids told him Lamar sounded like you.
Haha, amazing. And you hear P-Funk echoes in Odd Future, Steve Lacy, SCA, Anderson .Paak, Migos, Flying Lotus. A whole new generation.
And that Digital Underground connection is deep, too.
Oh, yeah. They were considered P-Funk all-stars, a band first, rappers second. Shock G was hugely inspired by Clinton, as Daniel Smith shared at PopCon. It's a direct lineage.
But despite this massive influence, Clinton's path wasn't always smooth. The 80s were tough.
Really tough. Legal battles galore. Polygram bought Casablanca, Parliament's label.
Which meant fights over contracts, masters. A nightmare.
Plus royalty issues involving, what, over 40 musicians, multiple labels, multiple band names. It was a mess. Drained resources nearly cost him his publishing.
And culturally, the 80s kind of turned against the 70s aesthetic for a while.
Yeah, that disdain of everything to do with the 70s meant commercial neglect, too. A difficult, isolating period.
But then the 90s brought a resurgence.
Thankfully, yes. Funk-inspired rap took off Dre, Snoop, Cube, and funk rock bands like Red Hot Chili Peppers, Primus, they all pointed back to Clinton.
His music became the soundtrack for the rap movement. He was finally recognized again as this seminal figure.
Cemented his legacy as this enduring force in black music. Influence comes in waves.
And he became more visible in pop culture generally, too, right? Movie cameos.
Yeah, House Party, PCU, Good Burger, even hosted that wild HBO show, Cosmic Slop.
Commercials for Apple, Nike, theme songs for the Tracy Ullman Show, the PJs. He was everywhere for a bit.
Showing that crossover appeal and versatility.
And the awards finally started rolling in.
Yeah, Grammys, Dove Awards, MTV Awards.
Yeah.
Recognition from BMI, NAACP, Motown alumni, Lifetime Achievement stuff.
And the big one, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction in '97 with 15 other P-Funk members.
Well-deserved. Plus an honorary doctorate from Berkeley in 2012. It underscores his massive contribution, finally getting that formal recognition.
So wrapping things up, Clinton's legacy, it really comes down to that relentless dedication to funk, doesn't it?
Absolutely. He didn't just play it. He took funk to new heights. Yeah. Blended everything, jazz, rock, pop, gospel, classical, into this unique style, P-Funk.
He basically elevated funk into its own recognized, powerful genre.
He really did. And what's cool is his perspective now, looking at modern music. Where does he find the joy?
Where does he?
He talks about seeing music evolve, cycle back, appreciating new artists like Money Long reviving R&B, discovering stuff on TikTok. He embraces the new.
But he does have concerns, right, about music being made just on laptops.
Yeah, he worries about the decline of bands playing together. His advice is simple. Jam with your friends. Make noise.
Get in a room together, that collective energy.
He feels that's essential, that interaction.
And he's applying that forward-looking view to his own legacy, too, the archives.
Right. Around age 75, he realized he needed to preserve his story, his music, adapt to new media.
Control the narrative.
Exactly. So now he's actively releasing stuff from the vaults, cutting room floor material.
Unfinished songs, alternate takes on platforms like Patreon.
Yeah, launching new funk every month from those original sessions, Flashlight, Knee-Deep era tapes, keeping it alive.
Ensuring that evidence of joy, as Daniel Smith called it, remains accessible. It's an incredible project.
It really is. So, for you, our listener, what's the takeaway? We've journeyed through this incredible P-Funk story.
Doo-wop roots, crazy contracts, musical breakthroughs, the hip-hop DNA.
It's a testament to resilience, creativity, and just pure dedication to the funk.
Which leaves us with maybe one final thought to chew on.
Go for it.
How much more do we uncover when we look beyond just the hits? When we dig into the complexities, the business struggles, the full archive.
Right. What other legacies are waiting for that kind of deep dive beyond the polished surface? What raw innovation is hidden in the vaults?
Something to think about.
Definitely. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into the Parliament-Funkadelic universe, please do subscribe, like, and comment. It really helps support VSOW.
Your engagement lets us keep bringing these explorations to you. Thank you so much for listening to VSOW.